All right, so Seth recommended a movie. Unfortunately, he cannot be here with us, but the show must go on. All right, so he recommended 4 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days by Cristian Munju. And where do we start with this movie?
The fact that we did not mean for this movie or this podcast episode to come out in light of all the stuff with Texas going on.
Yeah, I was about to talk about
that. Was not intentional.
It's a wild coincidence, but it's something that's been going on for like a long time. And
yeah, that's true.
I'm embarrassed to live in Texas, but yeah, the abortion ban and all that has to do with a lot with this film. And I think it makes the film a little bit more impactful for me. And it's very powerful in that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it always was, but it's like the whole stuff that's going on here in government, it just made it more surreal for me.
For real, yeah.
Yeah, what'd you guys think? Jacob?
All right, I can start. Yeah, so, I mean, this movie, it's just like, it feels like horrifying in ways, but the cinematic techniques used are like wonderful. It's so refreshing to watch a movie where there isn't like any glamorous editing, super fast cuts. Like most of the new releases that we see now are like that. And this movie wasn't released too long ago, like 2007. But the fact that it just uses like very, I guess, minimalist style of filmmaking was really refreshing because it just portrays exactly what it needs to do. It doesn't do, you know what I mean? It feels so meticulously crafted. Like, I also loved how it kind of paints, I guess, both sides of the abortion debate. Like, it doesn't just go on one side. It kind of shows the flaws in both sides. And I thought that was pretty great. Yeah, I mean, all the characters seem realistic. Performances were great. Great writing, very intense, really impactful. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, I agree. It's a film that doesn't focus on like the politics surrounding this very obvious problem and all of that, but it prioritizes character first, and it's very grounded. It's just practically feels like it could be like a pseudo documentary of sorts, and it's just like very fly on the wall, even though it's not focusing on like flashy cinematography with like a steady cam or whatever. Everything is pretty much handheld and everything is pretty much locked in place.
It kind of adds like a bit of the handheld cinematography, a sense of not being able to control.
Exactly.
Like a sense of chaos, even though it's not like chaotic in and of itself. I think that like it shows just how very little control that the women have over this situation. They're literally just relying on the goodwill of a couple of people to get to the goal that they're trying to achieve.
Everything from like the writing to the pacing of the story, it's just so precise and it's very effective. And it's very brutal, but not in the ways where it's like grotesque or anything, but it's subtle enough and it's patient enough to let you, I guess, absorb everything that's going on in the story. And it's
although there are a couple of moments of grotesqueness.
Yeah, but it's like it never felt like it's we're showing it so you can feel this type of way. It's just there in the frame.
Can feel gross.
Yeah, it's there just so you can observe it, and it's never glorified in any way. It's just presented how it should be, like the most objective way possible. It's very, very effective. It's very tough to watch at times, especially towards like the end of the movie. Just the tension around that last scene where she's walking in the streets alone. It's just, I'm like, what is gonna happen? It's like, it's so much.
I legit was scared that someone was gonna like fucking do something to her, and I was like, that moment was particularly very intense, especially given like what happened to her earlier in the hotel room. Like, I'm just like, Jesus fucking Christ, this world is cruel. Like,
it's a nasty, cold feeling, and it gave me shivers watching it.
And that scene when she's like running, like that's like one of the only scenes in the film that really uses like, I guess, shaky cam in a way, or like, but it doesn't feel like super out of place. Like it feels like it felt really impactful in that moment. Like it was very well used in that scenario, I'd say.
It's just as effective as like if they were to use like a heartbeat for the soundtrack, even if they don't. It's like that momentum that you get and that she has in the scene, you feel it through the camera and just like the chaos of that scene in general. Like they
Yeah,
don't need
true.
to like heighten anything. They don't need to heighten like the soundtrack or have this like, you know, blaring strings and stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
how it should be. I
And
really,
that's what
really
I think
enjoyed
what
it.
makes it like way better than other films
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
could do something similar.
Even though it's not my favorite of 2007, I do think it's well deserved the what was the Palme d'Or that it won. Like I
It
understand
did
Yeah.
win
that.
the Palme d'Or, I believe.
So
yeah.
it's a pretty great movie. Well performed. Like performances are just pretty they're outstanding, I would say. Like these
Yeah.
people are their characters.
Yeah,
Like
same.
I don't think I'm gonna see them as anything else. Like I never saw the acting per se, you know. I only saw like
No.
people.
True.
Yeah. Awesome. Xander.
Well, I without repeating anybody, I want to try my best not to do that. I do believe that this film is just about as fucking intense and brutal as it's cracked up to be. There are a lot of people who warned me about it before I watched it, and I gotta say that warning was very, very well deserved for a film like this. There are multiple scenes where I was genuinely like grossed out. There's one scene in particular where I actually like felt like sick. I'm not even kidding. I genuinely thought I was gonna throw up.
What scene?
Like there's the scene where the oh god, the scene where the fetus is on the ground in the towel, like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Oh god.
That scene is
Like just
horrible.
thinking about it now, I just like I felt like I felt dirty. I felt disgusting watching it, and that's not a bad thing at all. I think
Definitely.
that was fucking excellent delivering that moment. And another moment where I just felt incredibly sick is where she walked out of the room without pants on, and like it was very clear
Oh,
what
yeah.
happened. And I
Yeah.
was just
When
like,
he rapes her.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you don't even see
It's
the
funny.
rape, but like it, you know that like it happened, and that's enough. Like that's literally all I
Yeah.
needed to see, and I'm like already just like, fuck, Jesus. It's like, oh, it's awful.
And they don't show her, if you remember, like they show like the other girl like in her face, like of I guess
Exactly.
guilt.
Yeah.
Which is like
yeah.
super interesting. It's a really interesting use or idea from the director, but I think that was like great. Like they didn't have to show the rape. It was still disturbing in its own way. Like
Yeah, you just didn't need to. All you needed to do was
Yeah.
show a couple looks on characters' faces, and that's all you needed to know. And like,
yeah,
I also and also like I hate the character, but the guy who played the doctor was incredibly fantastic. Even though his
he
role
was
was
amazing.
very,
Yeah.
he was brief,
Ugh.
but he was fucking like you could tell that like he was a fucking creep. And not only that, but he was like
Yeah.
almost like he held contempt for these women for no reason. Almost as if like he genuinely hated them for some reason.
Yeah.
Like
A bit.
like the
yeah.
scene where he snaps and like tells them, "You think you could screw me over?" Like I think that moment was like
Yeah.
fueled by hatred, and that moment just like
Yeah.
like really
Yeah.
stuck out to me.
It's
Another
the
thing
power
that
of
I
like
really
authority
love-
that he
oh.
has. Yeah. Oh no, I was just saying.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, he was.
that authority he has over these women after like doing these
Mhm.
procedures. Like
He
over
knew
and
he was
over
in
again.
charge.
Yeah.
And that's what fucks me up. Like he was
Yeah.
the one in power. The women had
Mhm.
nothing, couldn't do anything. They,
I never
even
felt
if they
like he
wanted
was
to.
doing it out of like compassion or anything. He was doing it just for like as a
No.
job.
He was doing
for
it
the
because
money.
he
Yeah.
knew that he could do it. Yeah. Another thing that I really love is that the film utilizes long takes. That
Oh
Yeah.
again,
wow.
I'm just gonna say that usually like a lot of most films that I love have a healthy like amount of long takes, and the reason I love long takes so much is because they usually, especially in dialogue moments, is that they give the actors a reasonable amount of time to pace their emotions and make the scene feel more genuine. And I think that when a great actor is given time to to pace their emotions, I think that really separates a great actor from a mediocre actor. And I think every actor here utilizes that time they were given to realistically pace their emotions, because you don't like a human does not like burst out and cry like just on a whim like that, like they
Exactly.
show in movies sometimes. That it's built up. You
True.
see the tears well up, you see them like get shaky, and then you see them slowly break down. Like that feels more real to me. That's what makes like crying scenes in other movies feel so cheesy, but crying scenes in movies that I love feel less cheesy because they don't manipulate the audience into thinking, oh yeah, they just start screaming and crying and tears are everywhere and they're yelling to God saying, how could you do that? It's like that doesn't feel real to me. A real scene of emotion is when it takes its time to properly build itself up. And I think that long takes are like an easy way to bring that out in an actor or in a character, and that's why I love long takes so much. It's even better in action movies sometimes, but that's not what we're talking about.
Adding to that,
I love a good oneer. I love a good oneer.
This type of oneer, it's not like the Spielberg oneer where like the camera is constantly moving and it's constantly following these like coordinations of the actors and all that. This type of wonder,
sometimes it just stays still
because it's letting you know how it's going to be with the character the entire time. It feels like real time. It doesn't feel like
it only moves when you kind of notice that the camera only really moves when the character moves.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's what I really love.
Same.
I kind of realized I just went on for a little too long. I want to hear Vinny's thoughts.
All good. So this movie sucked. I'm just kidding. This movie was awesome. I loved it. Well, I loved it is a different word. I thought it was amazing, but
loving this movie feels weird to say.
The love isn't the right word because it's a beautifully crafted film that is just deeply hard to watch. It is just incredibly. It's just so brutal in terms of like mostly because in terms of how it doesn't present information because it's very matter of fact and it's one of those movies that's very much it uses the tools at its disposal to really fuel each sequence and to fuel the pacing of the story in order to sort of like create this world that's very realized and this world that's very much you know a lot of things that are going on in the background, but it's a more intimate story. And it's because I think I don't remember who said this, but the movie maintains a really great sense of objectivity of the story. Because also I'm not sure if this is correct, but I saw it on the trivia page. The director, Cristian Mungui, he's pro-life, apparently.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like,
which is wild. So I think that's what also makes like really good art is when you're willing to put your own personal biases aside when you have a really great story that you want to tell and express. Because the movie is just such a brilliant piece of artistic expression, which is shocking because of just how like I imagine if I had a conversation with the director, like he would probably be like, no, yeah. If I had, it's like Paul Thomas Anderson when he talks about his movies, he'd be like, yeah, if I like didn't make my movies and somebody else made them, I would probably hate them, like that type of situation. And another thing about the movie that I really, really love is obviously the way that the long takes are implemented, because I think what also really benefits it is it sort of reminded me of Steve McQueen's first movie, Hunger, where in that movie there's unbroken long takes for like almost like over a half an hour. And it's basically just like two characters doling out their like ideals and characters. And it's just basically a lot of those like stripped down and put on like steady cams and essentially that for the majority of this movie's runtime. And I think that really benefits the whole experience of this sort of real-time type of situation that these two characters are in, and basically how this woman, it's basically about how a woman is being tested. This entire story is about how the main character, Ottilia, is basically just put through the ringer and just has to deal with it, which is another reason why the movie is very hard to watch at points.
But I kind of love how we can all tell the difference between different directors' long takes because of just how they tell their stories. Like I can tell the difference between a Stanley Kubrick long take and a Gaspar Noé long take because of the way they both tell their stories so differently. Like a Gaspar Noé long take is just disorienting. Like it makes you feel weird and just oh my god.
Yeah. 100%.
But a Stanley Kubrick long take feels like clean and precise. Not to at all shit on Gaspar Noé. I think that his long takes work for what they're doing. But Kubrick's feel like clean and precise. You can tell the clear difference. And I like how here there's not really much of a difference, because you mentioned that you could tell the difference between a long take here and a long take in like a what'd you say, Steven Spielberg?
Yeah, I mean, the Spielberg oneers are actually kind of similar to what they do in this movie, because a lot of Spielberg oneers are very like static. Like, I think when I think of like a Spielberg oneer, I think of like the ones in like Catch Me If You Can, where it's basically just like most of the action is all in like one room. It's very like it's a wide shot the whole time. It's basically just like the Leonardo DiCaprio's mother. She walks into the kitchen. She gives Leonardo DiCaprio $1, and then she pulls out a cigarette, and then Leo like takes the cig. He's like, "You promised you were going to quit," and then he leaves. And it's a shot that goes on for like at least like 2 minutes, and that's sort of like what these shots are like, essentially.
What's funny is that I don't actually remember any long takes in Spielberg films except for Adventures of Tintin, with the one that goes throughout the city. If you guys ever saw that movie, which is I personally think that's an underrated movie. I love that movie quite a bit sometimes.
Yeah, his are mostly like subtle, just like the one in Jaws, where it follows the boat practically, and it's just one big conversation that keeps on going.
Yes, that's the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in here and in this movie, 4 months, 3 weeks, it's very similar. It's just conversations, and like you see, like there's one in like a dorm room that I really love where they're in their own dorm room. Ottilia and what was the other girl's name? I completely forgot. The darker-haired roommate, I guess. They were in their dorm, and then they walk across the hall to someone else's dorm, and they're all doing their own shit. I really like how they feel coordinated but natural at the same time. Like it feels human, but it's clear that you can't just say do whatever the fuck you want and like get a good long take, because you can't, because you need that precision. You can't just I don't know. I can never see I don't see many long takes just starting with the director talking to the extra saying, do something, I don't care. Like, it feels like there should be more coordination, and it feels real here. The coordination feels there, but it makes the long take feel more real.
I totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. Yeah.
To the little tidbit that Vinny brought up about Minju being pro-life, what I love about this movie is that you can kind of get that sense of that in this movie, but regarding the scene where you see the fetus on the floor, you could read it as like, oh, you see how disgusting this is, like how vile it is to like kill a fetus, essentially. But you could also read it as the way like, look at what these women had to essentially do to get to this point, like all this suffering that they had to go through, when it should be easier to do, when it should be a clean process, essentially. You know, it doesn't paint like the situation in one side, as you guys have mentioned. It's all just very nuanced, and it's conversational to say. So it does kind of surprise me that he's pro-life, because like I didn't get that from this movie at all.
No, I didn't either. And I love, I mean, the abortion itself, like, okay, I remember when I first watched this movie, and my biggest, the one thing I had to say when I was done watching it was, I was like this, well, Enter the Void is no longer the most scary abortion scene of all time. I think this movie takes it, because it's you see the entire, and of course, again, it's in a long take, so it lets the emotion evolve. You see him like put his gloves on, and then you see him like tell her everything that she's got to do. Like, you can't move for 3 days. You can't move for as long as it takes. You can't move however long that takes, a day or 3 days. You can't move at all. And then you see this big fucking like needle he takes out, and I immediately just went like, I was so fucking scared. And the fact that it still holds, it doesn't cut away when he puts it in. Like, you get to see all that happen. I love the realism that the film. I love that the film goes through the trouble of like, really, man. I can't believe that some people. I would easily believe that some people would just get sick from watching this movie. And again, I was close.
Yeah.
I seriously can't focus when I think of the most disturbing parts of this movie, because it's like, I can watch 100 horror movies and still like eat a big ass meal. I can watch a bunch of gross scenes and still sleep fine. I feel like I watch this movie, I can't eat, and I need to stay awake for like the next few hours, or else I'm just or else it's just not going to
Really?
end well. I
didn't find it as disturbing, I think, as you guys. I don't know.
I don't know,
Like,
man.
it's definitely really disturbing. I just like I couldn't
Well, this
watch
is
like a
real.
bunch of
This
horror
is
movies
not
in
based
the
on.
but-
This is not like a fake thing. That Romania legit had a ban on abortions and contraceptions because of their dwindling population, I believe. And that adds so much more because I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, so people went through this. This is not like a fakery. This is real, and that's what really gets me. Because no one should ever have to go through something like that. That's so fucked up. Like just what they went through in this movie. It's downright inhuman. Like just the fact that they had to go through all this trouble just to obtain a basic human right. It's just awful. And of course,
it is, yeah.
Yeah, and of course, history repeats itself. Haha.
Yeah.
Or nothing ever changes. Unfortunately, does a great job of getting you in their headspace, especially with like little things where like they don't have enough money for the surgery or they don't have enough money to stay in the hotel for long. Like I just felt like tense. I never knew where anything was going to go, and that's what I liked most about it.
I think another moment that particularly broke me was the moment that I realized that Otelia might be pregnant. That was a moment that.
Oh yeah.
Like the way that they implied it. Yeah, it was around the conversation she was having with her boyfriend in their bedroom in his bedroom, I think. There was like a moment there where I was like, shit. and I just like I started to really hate the world because I was like so scared for her well-being because I was like, shit, she might be screwed too. No. Yeah, I felt really invested, and when I found out, I just it sucks.
That dinner scene too was also very well done.
Ooh.
I agree, except I do have like one little gripe. I think the camera shakes a little bit too much in that scene. Just a little bit.
Really?
Like I think that I don't know. Again, it's a personal gripe. I would have preferred it to be a bit more stable. Like
I didn't even remember it, honestly.
I always get bugged by needless camera shake, and I don't know if the camera shake was purposeful in the film. If it is, please tell me. Like,
maybe it was.
That like, but like,
because like the whole scene is unstable because she's like so disconnected from them.
True, I can understand that.
I could see it as intentionally done. I would have preferred it, as you said, to be just like a steady shot. But I kind of like
you don't need
that
to put it on a tripod. Just put it like on a stack of books. Put your camera on a stack of books, and there you go. Fucking boom. But I mean, I'm not a huge stickler for shit like that in a movie this great. Like if one scene feels a little bit unstable in terms of camera placement, then fuck it. Is the rest of the movie great? Yes. Then shut up. I
still enjoy that all of the actors had chemistry. All of them were like felt so real. Everything like. To what they're eating, it never felt like fake to me.
Yeah, it just felt like a natural like dinner. Like they were just, having a little family thing.
Embarrassing
and
family dinner.
This poor fucking woman who has nothing to do, who the only way she's connected to this family was because of her boyfriend, is trying to get her friend a very crucial medical procedure, and she's like sitting in this room and she thinks like back at the hotel, like whatever the fuck she's doing or what she's going through, she can't do anything to help her. I can tell that she felt genuinely helpless in that scenario, and that really made the dinner scene feel impactful for me.
Definitely.
Because she just, that she's thinking, holy shit, I should not be here. But, I mean, she couldn't leave.
And it felt so long. And I think that's good that it did feel elongated. Just like, when am I going to get out of here? Yeah.
It didn't feel drawn out, but it was definitely long. I think it served a purpose for being that long.
That scene specifically, I think what makes it mostly effective is how it really demonstrates how deliberate the movie's pacing is. Because the scene isn't that long, but it feels so much longer than it does just because of how the tone is expressed.
It just purposefully communicates just that feeling of helplessness again. I love a movie that really manages to communicate shit like that well. Like Come and See and what are some other movies? Irreversible, I guess.
Everything we've watched for Kistopia.
The tone of being helpless, it's in every scene, especially where she tries to get a hotel room. Like, it's so frustrating, and I'm like, damn, just give her the damn hotel room. Just give her a room.
I know, it's
like, holy Christ, like, Jesus, give this woman a heartbreak.
I know. You really feel for her in that.
Oh, and by the way, no fucking surprise. I genuinely said, "Oh my goodness, I'm not surprised." One of Gaspar Noé's favorite films. Who would have fucking thought?
Bruh.
Great.
Like, who would have fucking thought? It's also apparently
Yeah, it
James
makes
Franco's
sense.
one of James Franco's favorite movies, but I don't give a shit about James Franco.
Uh,
I don't really, what else to say. I think that like the movie really just perfectly survives on its sense of helplessness and
Horror and
hopelessness.
helplessness, yeah.
Hopelessness and helplessness.
it's a horror movie.
Yeah, a real genuine horror. Again, like I love a good supernatural, like detached from reality horror movie, but I also just really love these real life horror movies. Like people will die. Like
Yeah,
I was honestly like
they're
scared
just so
that
much more impactful.
yeah, and like again, I love a good supernatural horror movie. The Thing is genuinely one of my favorite films of all time, but like this movie also just hits the mark so well. Like I felt genuine horror watching this.
I mean, what makes The Thing such a great horror movie in general is just because it's not really about the alien, it's about the people. And I think when you talk about like people as the center for your horror project, I think that just makes it, it just makes it scarier because it's real life. It's with real people. So like,
Exactly.
I like how this differentiates from what's that movie called? Never.
Rarely, sometimes, always.
Yeah, that one. Where that one is more of a.
Yeah.
It feels not as anxiety-inducing, but it still has like that lingering undertone throughout.
It didn't really. That movie particularly did not get intense for me until that scene where she explained. Like, I don't want to spoil it because that's not the
I haven't
movie
seen
we're
it
talking
yet.
about. But you guys know exactly. Like the people who've seen it know what scene I'm talking about. It's this.
That's insane.
That's really the only scene where I felt true like anxiety and like stress for the
throughout
character.
the entire movie, it's
Whereas
mostly
in this
passive.
movie, yeah, it feels almost like they're kind of not like ignoring the problem, but sort of being like
trying to get their minds off it and distracting them.
Yeah, they're trying to get their minds off the horrible situation that they're in. And that's fine. I get that the film exactly was trying to do that, but I think this movie that 4 months, 3 weeks was much more impactful because it was about the actual act of getting the shit done,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it just
for
added
sure.
much more stress and anxiety to it.
Yeah, even though I still think that movie is great. Never really seen it, so I still think it's a great movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed that movie a lot. Yeah.
But I definitely think that 4 months, 3 weeks, 2 days definitely is more impactful. Or just
at least
more,
in the way,
more than
at least in the way of stress.
Yes, I'd say. I had one question to ask you guys. So for, the character, the guy who's basically performing the abortion. What did you think about doctor. The doctor? I thought it was interesting that they kind of make you he totally is, but they kind of the film almost I wouldn't say you side with him, but they even give him an understanding. The two women they didn't come fully prepared, right? And she lied to the other woman about how far along she was. So you kind of understand a bit about why he is like that. So even with him, even though he was a scumbag, he turned out to be, you understood where he was coming from, and you kind of it just made the scene better. You understood everything about it. But I just wanted to point that out. And I also wanted to know what you guys thought of his character. But
and I understand I get the point of view of saying he was I can understand his anger, and I there was a moment where I was somewhat man, he kind of does have a point. But after I discovered that he raped her, I was at that point I was nah, fuck you, screw you. You suck.
I mean, at that point you realize he's a scumbag. But
at that point that was the turning point of okay, so you're fucked, got it.
You also got to consider her
but before
emotions,
then,
she's afraid and she's naive. She doesn't know what to do, and when you're afraid and stressed out, you tend to make some lies and you don't know how to approach
you tend to lie because you don't know what the right answer is.
Exactly.
So you don't, and you just want to get it done,
He's not doing it because he wants to help them. He's not doing it because it's a passion of his. He's doing it because he's getting paid. They're giving him money and he's all right, cool, I'll do this for you, but you got to do what I say. That also just makes it a tad more just depressing because you realize that he does, again, like I said earlier, he's fully in control. He can literally just walk away and they can't do shit. So they literally have to do everything he says, even if that includes, all right, I'll fuck you for it. That's
it's just a reflection of the actual government, like how much
Mhm.
the actual government's much worse than he is.
Oh,
And
I'm
it's just
sure,
like,
yeah.
it's just how they tend to
Yeah.
police women's bodies. Just that.
Although granted,
whole thing.
we're not really ones to talk anymore. But
Oh god, yeah, fucking Texas.
Yeah.
But again, here's hoping for better days and days where we can get that shit reversed. 'Cause
Yeah, just
fuck
watch
that.
this movie, bro. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Just watch
Yeah,
this.
literally, like, if you give a shit about women in any way, this movie's kind of a must-watch.
Just
Like,
if anyone
Yeah,
was
honestly.
open-minded, if just
if you really want to understand the effect of what black market abortion can do to someone, this is a great movie to watch. Like, just a great
talk
movie to
to
recommend
women.
that.
Talk to women.
Or
You'll
just
understand.
that.
For sure.
Like,
Yeah.
but let's be honest, most of our audience doesn't talk to girls.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm
Burn.
sorry. I'm sorry. That was bad. That was
Most letterbox users don't talk to women.
Anyway, it brings a real like sense of consequence to anything that they do. Because again, like everything it feels like these women do is repaid in just like one step forward, two steps back.
Yep.
Like they get to the hotel, they don't have enough money, and they can't pay the guy, and then they have enough money to pay the guy. Oh, but you might not be able to stay at the hotel very long. Oh, and you can't. You have to stay still for like 3 days maybe, and you don't have enough for 3 days. Oh, the abortion finally happened. Oh, good. But at the same time, you might be pregnant, and you don't know where to go from there. Like it's 2 steps for every 1 step forward. It's 2 steps back. Is that all we got? I think I talked about it
Think of stuff.
well enough.
I don't know
I
if you
think
guys
that's
have
it.
anything
I'm glad this movie won the Palme d'Or. I'm fucking pissed off
Same.
that the Oscars snubbed it. Apparently, a lot of other people were too.
Oh,
Another
God,
thing
they
about
did.
this
Well,
movie
Seth,
that
they won the Palme
yeah,
d'Or
they
over
did.
Spider-Man 3,
Wait,
though.
what one foreign feature then?
In 2007,
2008, yeah, Academy Awards.
or sorry,
I
2008.
can look it
Here,
up.
Let me. Yeah, I'll look it up. Hold on.
Because like what? I don't know. What
2008.
else would you consider? I mean, yeah, there's other movies. but
Yeah.
this is kind of like the best one.
The counterfeiters. The counter.
What? What is that?
Well, I heard,
What the fuck is that?
I heard
see the
I heard
nominees,
good things
hold
about
on.
that movie.
The counterfeiters. I've heard good things about it. Yeah.
There we go.
There Will Be Blood, though. I think is still the best movie of 2007.
I totally agree.
I mean,
Uh,
yeah.
Yeah, I always have that personal bias towards No Country for Old Men,
Yeah, I
but There Will
kinda
Be
prefer
Blood
No
is number
Country,
2.
too.
They're both in my top 10 favorite films of all time, so I don't really I don't consider either of them to be. I don't really consider No Country for Old Men to be the best. It's just, I guess,
They're
my
both up
personal
there.
favorite. They're both the best. They are both the best film of 2007 to me.
Yeah, I
If-
would actually say that they're tied for me.
If people ask me, I've actually answered this question, but if people ask me like, "Hey, what's your favorite film of 2007?" I usually say There Will Be Blood and No Country for Old Men. There's no way to decide. They're just both the best movie of 2007.
Yeah,
Going back
for sure.
to Mr. Cristian
Yeah, we got to go back to
Mungui.
we got to go back to the
I'm
movie.
excited to see his other
Yeah.
movies like Graduation. That looks pretty great.
Yeah, that looks great.
Oh yeah, Graduation. That came out in 2016.
Yeah, he
don't
hasn't
know what
made
that was.
anything. I guess the latest thing he's done was produce The Sisters Brothers by what's his
That's
name?
interesting.
Jacques Audiard. Yeah,
That's a great movie.
I haven't seen that.
I love Sisters Brothers. That would be actually an interesting film to talk about on the podcast someday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do scores, guys. Jacob, you're up.
I'm gonna go with a solid 9, and it's in my favorites, and I love it. I mean,
Yeah.
love it. I don't know about
Sheesh.
love it, but yeah, there's a lot to love about it. So
Nice. Yeah, for me, it's a wonderfully made movie. It's tough as nails, but it's a great movie. Everybody
Tough as
should.
nails, yep.
Everybody should watch it. Everybody. Like. I don't
Yeah,
care.
yeah.
If
I
you're not
think it's
into
kind of an
foreign
essential
movies-
viewing now,
Yeah.
given
I
recent
think
events.
everybody
Like
should.
you should watch this.
I kind of wish this was like more known. You know, it's kind of overlooked, I guess. Like
It
at
is
least
kind
like
of
not.
left by the wayside. You realize, yeah.
Yeah, not many people talk about it.
Like people
Or-
know it, but they don't really talk about it really. Like
Yeah, powerful film, essential. I would give it a strong 8. I might give it a light 9 on a second watch, but for
Yeah.
now, strong
Yeah.
8. Yeah.
Mr. 8.
Classic rating.
I love this movie quite a lot. I don't really know much else to say aside from that. It's fucking brutal. Like more brutal than a lot of movies I've seen. It's a tough watch, but if you're willing to look past the hopeless and helpless sense of sense of tone that the film goes for, then you'll probably realize just how great this movie is. And I really hope that more people do that, because this movie is genuinely overlooked in my eyes. And I kind of struggle between the ratings of an 8 and a 9. There are things where the low budget kind of peeks its head every once in a while. Doesn't exactly have like the production of doesn't really have like a big production, so that kind of makes some scenes feel a little bit cheap. But aside from that, I think I'm gonna go with a strong 8 to a light 9. I know that's again like an Anthony Fantano thing, but like that's exactly how I feel. It literally just goes back and forth every other time I think about the film. There's no real like solid rating for me with this movie. It's either a strong 8 or a light 9. So that's all I got.
So yeah, this movie it's uncompromising, it's honest, it's a authentic form of artistic expression. It's got so much to appreciate in terms of its presentation. It's got so much to appreciate in terms of its character work. It's very subtle in how it's done, but it's done in such an impactful way that really like gets to the heart of like who these people are and the cruel, harsh world they live in. So yeah, this movie's fantastic. I gotta give it a decent to strong 8 out of 10. I think for now.
Nice.
It might be the time I watch it, but which I'm not exactly rushing back to watch this movie.
Yeah.
No, I'm definitely not going to be seeing it again anytime soon, but I will look back on this film for a while, and until I see it again, I will think back on this film and say, man, I really love that movie.
It's not a film you can just put on.
But you know what I mean. I can't put it on. No, I gotta.
There's some movies you need to plan your day around.
Yeah. Before we leave, we gotta announce the next recommendation, and this time it's from
here.
Jacob. So go ahead, Jacob.
Oh, yes. So the next rec is Wong Kar-wai's 1997, I think it is.
Sheesh. Yes.
Let me just check. 1997, Happy Together.
Let's
It's
go.
an absolute masterpiece. Like,
This will be my second Wong Kar-wai film in 2 weeks, I believe.
Literally
literally the best romance ever. So yeah, I mean,
I watched 2046. Sorry.
Shang-Chi prequel.
Oh man.
Mid-Chi.
this takes it to another level.
All right, so if you don't want to be spoiled for Happy Together, watch it so you can join us in on the conversation.
Everyone should watch it.
Thank you.
Yes, watch Happy Together. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
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 Goodbye. Goodbye.